Good evening, you're watching Nation Wants to Know and I'm Swati Joshi. The situation that is unfolding in West Asia has led to people asking how the focus has shifted from the contours of ceasefire to who really caused confusion. Pakistan has been left red-faced yet again. Its attempt to project itself as a master mediator in the West Asia war has instead exposed it on the global stage. Islamabad first announced an all-out truce that applies everywhere, one that also, according to Pakistan, included Lebanon. But within hours, Israel launched its biggest strikes on Lebanon. It killed nearly 250 people and over 1,000 have been injured. And now, even the United States has contradicted Pakistan's claims. Vice President J.D. Vance made it clear that Lebanon was never part of the deal. In fact, he went on to say this is a misunderstanding.
First of all, I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. And look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
Meanwhile, the very fate of the talks which Pakistan wanted credit for is now uncertain. Pakistan PM Shehbaz Sharif has long pitched Islamabad as a hub for peace talks, but look at the outcome. Iran's ambassador to Pakistan had earlier said the delegation would arrive in Islamabad for serious talks, but that tweet has now been deleted. In fact, Iran has now even gone on to warn that its delegation will travel to Islamabad only if attacks on Lebanon are stopped. If this wasn't embarrassing enough, there are voices in Pakistan demanding a Nobel Peace Prize for Shehbaz Sharif and their Field Marshal, Asim Munir, for a ceasefire that didn't even last a few hours. What's more surprising is that there are some takers of this narrative even in India. However, there are still voices in the opposition who are calling it out. Shiv Sena UBT leader Priyanka Chaturvedi hasn't toed the opposition line. She's instead taken a stand saying to all those hailing Pakistan's mediation as a diplomatic coup, hope the cake on your face is tasty. She further doubled down and asked why should India be on any negotiating table between the US and Iran. Now this echoes what the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said earlier during the all-party meeting that India is not a dalal nation like Pakistan. And it has taken 2 weeks for Pakistan's reality to come out. India's foreign policy isn't about loud claims or hollow posturing. It's about calibrated strategic action. Let's take a look at how silent diplomacy and strategic measures by India is yielding results. So India has refused to take sides in the conflict, of course, has always emphasized on dialogue and diplomacy. The top priority has always been bringing back its citizens safely, on securing, prioritizing energy needs. Remember, as many as 8 ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz despite escalating tensions. In all, 9 of them brought along with them crude and LPG. India has also diversified its energy sources from 27 to 41 countries. At the same time, Prime Minister Modi maintained diplomatic balance, speaking to the U.S. President, the Iranian President, and also staying in constant touch with other Gulf leaders. Prime Minister Modi has always called for dialogue and diplomacy as the only way forward. As India's outreach continues, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will visit UAE, while Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri is headed to Qatar. Because for India, it has always been about protecting national interest and not playing mediator just for optics.
Earlier yesterday, External Affairs Minister will pay an official visit to the United Arab Emirates from 11th to 12th April 2026. During the visit, he will meet the leadership of the UAE to review close cooperation and deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. We are also reaching out to other countries in the GCC region. Our Minister of Petroleum is also visiting the region. As you would have seen, he is paying an official visit to Qatar on 9th and 10th April 2026.
Let's open this up and let's go across to our guest. We're joined by Arushi Sana, political analyst. We have Imran Ahmad Ali, lawyer and political analyst, and Syed Asad Abbas, also a political analyst. We're also expecting Mr. Sushil Pandit to join us on the broadcast. Let me first go across to Syed Asad Abbas. Syed Asad Abbas, is this the kind of mediation that the opposition, some in the opposition were expecting India to do? First, to put out a post that says draft Pakistan's PM message on X, and then to go ahead and announce that the ceasefire applies to all, Lebanon included. One hand does not know what the other hand is doing.
Let us understand, Swati ji, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is one of the greatest figures that we have in the world today, who's won several highest civilian awards of not just one country, but almost a dozen countries. Let us understand that our Prime Minister, our Honorable Prime Minister, enjoys great relationships, be it Iran, be it Israel, be it United States of America, whereas Netanyahu and Trump also calls Modi their very, very good friend. So therefore, the real power on a global level, on a geopolitical level, comes in here. Therefore, we as citizens of this country expect that a rogue country like Pakistan does not take away the share of the pie. But a leader like Modi, who is indeed the Vishwa Guru, the leader who surprises others, a leader who's looked up not just in India, but the world, to take siege and take notice and bridge amends within the various countries. The man who could stop the Russia-Ukraine war for a bit.
No, there was a pause to ensure that our citizens could be evacuated safely. First of all, let's get that right. Now, let me bring in. Now, 1 second. Let me bring in Arushi. So, despite all of that has happened, the massive embarrassment for Pakistan, first going ahead with the draft post, and then also including Lebanon, without perhaps taking into confidence Israel or United States, on its own announcing Lebanon, and then causing such a huge mess and confusion. There are those who are still impressed and want India to do the same.
But India has done even more than that. At this point, I feel sorry for Pakistan, because the audacity to claim that they're an efficient mediator when they can't even control their own instabilities between Balochis and their government. You don't become a mediator when a chaotic Western president gives you that title. You become one only when you have diplomatic relations with all the parties involved. And they have zero formal diplomatic relations with Israel. Iran has repeatedly quashed their claims of playing any role despite having similar religious beliefs. So how are we supposed to believe that a country that is infamous for harboring global terrorism is now a global peacemaker? Real mediation in West Asia is handled by serious players, countries with credibility, leverage, and trust on both sides. Pakistan has none of that. So at best, it is just trying to stay relevant in a conflict where it actually has no seat at the table. And our Prime Minister has been engaging with all the sides. They've been maintaining a strategic autonomy. They're protecting our interests. We are being taken seriously across the world. And they are just struggling for a seat at the table right now.
Just struggling for a seat at the table, Imran Ahmad Ali. So why is the opposition so impressed with that?
You know, I disagree with the seat at the table, whereas my predecessor who just spoke before me would say that Pakistan is not even acting as a mediator. However, what really concerns me is that while we celebrated the coming of Trump in India, Howdy Modi, Namaste Trump, while we showcased to the world that we have very friendly relations, in comparison to the tweets by Trump and also by Iran, where Trump said that he actually halted because of the efforts of Pakistan, and he said something that the destructive force will not be sent tonight because of their efforts. On the same side, even Iran also said that this is because of the brotherly efforts of PM Nawaz Sharif. Now my problem, Shehbaz Sharif, now my problem is one. When we talk about Pakistan, yes, their advantages, whether it be the border, the geographic position, whether it be the same religion in majority, they do have their advantages. But when we talk about the leaders, we have always projected India to be that leader, being at the head of BRICS, being at the helm of affairs for everything. And it is concerning to someone like me because about a year ago, India and Pakistan were at loggerheads with each other. And US comes into the frame and says that, oh, we brokered a peace, which we obviously the MEA subsequently said that no, they had nothing to do about it. So my concern is that this increasing cooperation between these countries with Pakistan, where does that leave us? Now, it is very easy to say that yes,
still
we
in a
want
safe
a
position,
peaceful
Imran.
outcome
Still
to
in a
this
safe position,
problem.
and
Yes.
the proof of that was how diplomacy worked for us in our favor. The proof of that was that we were able to secure our energy needs. And also, let me ask you this hypothetical question. So if you're saying that, and this is what Donald Trump posted, that the destructive forces were stopped because Pakistan requested and the brotherly nation mentioned that Iran made. Why doesn't the United States of America also then accept what Mr. Shehbaz Sharif said in that post, that it applies everywhere? Include Lebanon in the agreement. Agree with that as well, because Pakistan said so.
You know, while I completely agree and I'm standing at the same point as you, now the fact that they're hosting these negotiation talks, no matter what is their level of autonomy, no matter what is their level in it, I would say that we would have been a better country no matter what we may say. Look at their economic position, look at their cost of fuel. I mean, we talk about energy crisis ourselves. Look at where they are standing. All my social media is just full of people mocking the cost of petrol and diesel in their country. However, I feel that they stepped up, while as we should have actually be the ones stepping up.
But don't you see what happened? What is happening behind the scenes, Imran? Don't you see what's happening behind the scenes? The first post that was put out, the header of that said draft. Then he goes on to announce that it is going to apply everywhere. When US says it's a legitimate misunderstanding, that we never agreed to include Lebanon in that agreement. So what kind of a mediating job is Pakistan doing that it really has no idea what U.S., Israel and Iran want? I want Sushil Pandit to come in. Sushil Pandit, both Syed Asad Abbas and Imran Ali are saying that, given our relations with Israel, with Iran, with US, we should have been the one to have been playing the role of the mediator, and these talks should have been happening in India. Why Islamabad?
That's right. Please speak to staff and police.
Sushil Panditji, that question is for you.
It's sorted, see it, say it, sorted.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, my question is based on the comments that have come in from Imran and from Syed Asad Abbas, who are saying that these talks should not happen in Islamabad, they should have happened in India, and India should have been the one mediating all of this.
I wonder, why do they grudge our friendly neighbor these little opportunities of redeeming their reputation? They have a reputation problem. Whenever there is a terror attack in any civilized part of the world, most of the country is celebrating, and some of them are praying that it isn't their name that's found out. Now, if for some reason they have been asked to act as a post office, exchange messages, please let them feel good that they have found their relevance in the world. We are not so insecure in our reputation that we should be looking at every opportunity to be in the midst of it. Sorry. We are far more serious a country. We have far better things to do than meddling in wars and disputes. And when you have eccentric people fighting it and changing their positions and goalposts every now and then. It's a dangerous terrain. It's a slippery slope. You can't stake your reputation when you do not know which way the actors will play, what they will decide. It's much better to stay off than singe yourself. And please, let Pakistan stew in its own juice. Those talks are being called off. And you know the reason? J.D. Vance's travel to Pakistan is considered a security risk. Imagine what kind of an egg they've ended up with their office. This is much bigger loss of reputation than whatever they could have hoped to earn out of this mediation.
Much bigger loss of reputation. Also, was it ever about peace, or was it all about perception, Syed Asad Abbas? Because the first opportunity some people get in Pakistan, they start demanding a Nobel Peace Prize for Mr. Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir.
Swati ji, I couldn't agree with my dear friend Imran Ahmed Ali better than this. Where I disagree with Sushil Pandit ji, who I have great regards as my elder brother, is that the G20 successful summit, a leader of the BRICS, not just that, one of the superpowers in the making in the world today. We take great pride as Indians that India today is a Vishwaguru. We are excelling. The world's topmost CEOs are Indians. And so it be, and we should take great pride across party lines, across dharmic lines. The fact of the matter is, I personally believe that a brand Narendra Modi is way bigger than these lunatics like a Shehbaz Sharif or even an Asim Munir. These are
But just a short while back, you were mocking that brand Modi when you said कि Russia-Ukraine की war रुकवा दी.
Swati ji, what I was believing to say here is very, very simple. A Narendra Modi is a much better force to reckon with when it comes to the world powers in being a bridge, bringing peace in
And
the
that's why
conflict
Narendra
of
Modi
war.
kept talking about diplomacy and dialogue, Arushi. That's why India's stand was, while we need to secure our, one second, energy needs and ensure the safety of our citizens. Let's not forget the safety of our citizens living in the Gulf nations. India managed to do all of that with deft diplomacy.
You know, our country, the opposition in our country, they behave, especially the Congress spokespersons, they behave like Pakistani spokespersons more, than Indian spokespersons. They forget which country they're supposed to work for. And it is very easy for them to have a very soft corner for Pakistan, but it is very difficult for them to acknowledge something right that is happening in their country. It is very difficult for them just because the BJP has done something right or Narendra Modi has done something right. It is very difficult for them to acknowledge that. But they will never agree to the fact that Pakistan and peace cannot be used in the same sentence. It is an oxymoron. A country that has repeatedly positioned itself.
Okay, Imran, it's an oxymoron to say Pakistan and peace in the same breath. Also, as far as those talks are concerned, Iran has set a condition that until Israel stops attacking Lebanon, we are not going to take part in those talks. Israel has made it absolutely clear that wherever Hezbollah is present, our attacks will continue wherever necessary. That's the exact quote of the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Netanyahu.
Swati, I have just one thing to say, that while as others broker peace, we have perfected silence. Now, my problem today is one, it is not on whose side we stand. It is not whether Pakistan is doing a bad job. We all know that they will not be able to do a good job. My problem today is that why are we not in the forefront? When we claim to be a leader of the region, while we claim to be at good diplomatic ends with Israel, with the US, and to have historic ties with Iran, we should have been the first option they go to. I'm very sorry, I refuse to accept anybody saying that, oh my God, they're taking Pakistan's side. I'm sorry. When I want my country to be at the forefront to negotiate peace talks, and that is something we've always stood by. Nobody knows it more than India that what we have actually succumbed, we haven't succumbed, we've faced through years because of Pakistan's terrorism. I feel that is not the country that both the countries should have gone to, and if they have not come to us, if we are not the ones who are brokering this peace, we need to internalize and actually see why as to why.
Despite that draft post put out, you're saying that it was Pakistan that everybody is listening to and not the other way around? That a script was handed over to the Pakistani Prime Minister to put on social media,
I'll tell you, the
left
draft,
embarrassed,
honestly,
left red-faced?
Honestly, I understand the draft thing, and I know how everyone can play it to their advantage, but I would also like, now going into President Trump's tweets, sometimes I do feel that it makes sense when a head of state does not write his own tweets and there's somebody else drafting it for him, because we can remember that a day.
So what about Lebanon? No, so then Imran, let's talk about the posts. You want to discuss the posts. What about Lebanon? How is it that Pakistan said it applies to everyone? It applies everywhere.
I have from the start told you that I do not agree Pakistan's the best choice. This clearly shows that Pakistan is not doing a good job.
So you contradict yourself, Imran, when you say Pakistan will not do a good job. I'm not backing Pakistan, but then you also say that they stepped up. You want to acknowledge that. And then compare it to India.
No, I'm saying that India. No, I'm saying India should have stepped up. There's a difference. To say Pakistan stepped up versus India should have actually stepped up.
So let me then ask Sushil Pandit, should India have stepped up, or is silent diplomacy better at the moment?
This is a fool's errand, Swati. Everyone knows that this was a half-baked plan. People were not on board. Israel was not on board, which is why fissures began to appear even before it was cast. now to rush in where no sane person should dare is a fool's errand. And Pakistan, in its eagerness to earn some, crumbs of brownies, have rushed in and ended up with an egg on their face. The point is this the right time? Is this the right situation? Are you the right person to carry these errands when these are not properly hammered out? When these are just whims of few people or compulsions, momentary compulsions of some actors in the play. Which is why I think when the time comes, allow our diplomats, allow our foreign minister, allow our government to take that call. Don't jump in with unsolicited advice, especially when you don't have the skin in the game, when you do not know what are the stakes involved, what kind of
So you're saying instead of comparing the situation to India and saying that India should have done this or done that, one should actually be saying, this is a masterclass in how not to get involved when you cannot handle, when you don't have the capacity and the capability to do that job. Syed Asad Abbas, before I wrap up, last word to you.
Swati ji, I'll give you a quick context and history of Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini, prior to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, hails from Barabanki, Uttar Pradesh. His grandfather, which is from Uttar Pradesh. And Iran has a historical presence. And let us understand, this is an ancient civilization, just like we had Indus Valley civilization. So these great connects, and one of the few world leaders which Ayatollah Ali Khamenei met was Narendra Modi ji. So therefore, keeping that significance in mind and the importance of economic business relations, I feel, honestly, Modi would have been a great man.
That's the reason why, sir. That's the reason why the great diplomatic relationship that you're talking about between India and Iran is the reason why you had those tankers pass the Strait of Hormuz and get the crude and LPG dock here on the Indian ports. That's the reason why the envoy of the supreme leader of Iran, Mr. Elahi, while speaking to Times Now, said that India can play a bigger role when it comes to peace in the region. So even before Iran can react, the opposition has started attacking the Modi government on the issue. Thank you very much, Arushi and gentlemen, for joining us. That's all the time we have for the debate. Thank you.